This is a video about two stubborn nodes, two stubborn N8N nodes, the LangChain Code and the ExtractPDFtext nodes. I've been struggling with these two nodes for a couple of days, trying to make them work. I should emphasize that I'm running N8N on free tier and I'm hosting it on Render on free tier as well. What you will get out of this video is an alternative setup for text extraction and chunking that might be useful for any of you that encounter the same or similar problems. This setup is not meant to be a substitute for more modern and adaptable forms of agentic chunking. Those have different strengths, especially if you need to process text documents very different in structure from each other, say invoices and journal articles, media releases, and technical guidelines. However, this setup is designed to work reliably on free tier environments, where the typical N8N nodes employed for agentic chunking may not work. See the ExtractPDFtext node and the LangChain Code node. In addition to providing a workaround in cases where agentic chunking may not be viable, this deterministic setup can also answer the need for a more reliable solution for text extraction and chunking in all those cases where repeatable results are a key requirement. Just to give you a little context, I came across this issue when I was trying to use this template that you see on screen about agentic RAG or retrieval augmented generation agent that you see up here in the brownish area. In this template, as important, we also have a tool to fetch, process, and then finally store data into a vector database. In particular, what the LangChain node and ExtractPDFtext node were doing in this lower section was extracting, of course, PDF text. Then the LangChain was chunking it. It was doing that for both text coming from the PDF and text coming from Google Docs in this case. By the way, this is a rather sophisticated template, as you can see, that treats different types of data in different ways. So on the top, you got structured data in the form of Excel or CSV documents, which are classified and transformed differently than what's done for the unstructured data, that is for the text coming from PDF and Google Docs. We won't go into details on the template, but for any of you who might be interested, you can find the template on YouTube on Cole Medin's channel. Cole's been doing excellent tutorials. I've been looking especially at those to do with agentic RAG and vector database, which are excellent. This implementation, this model of the template, I believe is the latest one at the time of this video anyhow. But you can see on his channel the evolution of the template step by step from its first iteration, which was more basic, although still a good starting point till you get to this latest model. Highly recommend the channel. If you are interested in these topics, go and have a look. Having said that, let's go back to it. Once you get the template, all you're supposed to do is put in your credentials on all the nodes that need them, and the template should work out of the box. In particular, what I've done, I've replaced all the LM nodes in the template with the free ones. As you will know, OpenAI chat model can be accessed through API only if you got the paid subscription, which I don't. As you see, the free theme is a recurrent one in this video. So I've replaced it with Grok in my template. You can use Gemini, that's exactly the same. You can access both LMs for free through API. In the case of the RAG agent, the Grok chat model works perfectly fine, no problem there. When I try to do the same operation for the LangChain code that you will see as a chat model attached, that did not work. I thought the problem was incompatibility between the LangChain code node and the Grok LM, but that's not likely the case because I tried with Gemini as well and that also didn't work. In addition to that, I got a similar issue also with the ExtractPDFtext node. What I mean by that is that both with the LangChain Code node and with the ExtractPDFtext node, I was getting the same error, which is a connection lost error. Of course, the ExtractPDFtext node doesn't have any connection to API or use external LMs. Therefore, the problem is likely to be not the LM, but the general setup. The behavior was a spinning wheel running forever. If we go and look at what that usually is caused by, is either proxy configurations or lack of sufficient resources, which I think might be the case with my setup. Simply because I'm running N8N on free tier and I'm hosting it through Render on free tier, as I said earlier. So now N8N on free tier has limitation of RAM and memory used. Also, you cannot set environment variables, for example. It's a limited environment, although it's super useful to start learning. The same goes for Render. Render is a great platform through which you can deploy your environments, your projects. It's completely available online. The advantage is that you can access your deployed projects even if you're not on your computer, and you don't even have to allocate space on your local machine for deploying or developing the project. Actually, in this case, I'm hosting N8N, which is the development platform, on Render, which is the deployment platform. And so I don't have to use any resources on my laptop. As you can see, I'm on the free version of N8N, so again, it's great. And you can access everything for free. However, the limitations that come with the free tier in some cases make it difficult to understand what's causing issues. So as I said, in my case, I tried to troubleshoot and I tried different ways to make these two nodes work. Nothing was doing it for me. As I mentioned, initially I tried to use a different LM model than Grok, which didn't work. Then I tried to replace the LangChain Code node with a simple node or a simple code node with an internal API call to Grok. That worked in terms of the connection to Grok, but it wasn't giving me consistent results and also did not solve the separate problem of the ExtractPDFtext node. So finally I came up with an alternative architecture that you can see here in my revised template. As you will notice, up here I'm using Grok with the agentic reg node that works fine. But down here, what I've replaced the two nodes with is this architecture. So in the upper section, you can see the PDF extraction and chunking. In the original template, we had two nodes for extracting and chunking PDF text, respectively. I have replaced them with these three nodes, which do the same two operations. The nodes leverage an external app called Mistral via API, returning text already chunked. In addition, often the OCR, the text recognition, is better with Mistral than what you find with the standard ExtractPDFtext node in N8N. So it works great. By the way, for this solution, I've taken inspiration from another YouTube creator, N8N. His channel is fantastic. He's doing great work in the field of automation. As you can see here, in this case, he's using and reinterpreting one of Cole's templates, an earlier one, but essentially this is the part that I'm talking about here. So he's using these same three nodes, calling Mistral, to extract and chunk text from PDF. And the same I'm doing here in this upper section. The last node I've added is simply to reformat the output coming through from Mistral so that it matches what was coming out of the LangChain Code node in the original template. I don't want to mess up anything after this point, so I want to give the output from this point in the same exact format that was supposed to be in the original template. So I'm just reformatting what's coming from the three nodes. I'm not rechunking it, I am not restructuring it. I'm just changing the labels, just the metadata. So that's for PDF. In the lower part, instead, you can see what's happening for Google Docs. So The first node is exactly the same as it was. It's an extract document text node, which works fine. But the LangChain Code node, I had to replace it with a code node. So what's happening here is that I am not delegating anymore the chunking of the text to an external LM. So what does it mean? In Cole's template, that was the ideal solution proposed. That's what he calls agentic chunking. The benefit of it is that the LM does the chunking for you based on your instructions. So in a way, it can adjust to different types of text, find the ideal balance between max chunk size and trying to keep ideas and concepts together without breaking them into different chunks. So that's the general goal in Cole's template, or at least this section of the template. I have tried to replicate that through a deterministic approach, which means through JavaScript code that I've implemented in this node. So the results are always the same if the initial input text is the same. My code reflects some simple guiding principles, aiming at keeping main ideas and concepts together, the same goal that was in the original template, really. The way I'm doing it, of course, is through keeping sentences together, but also as much as possible bullet lists or number lists together. So if a list is not longer than the max chunk size, it should be kept in one chunk. But if that's not possible and it needs to be broken down into 2 or more pieces, we don't want to break any of the bullet points. So if a bullet point is too long to be included in the previous chunk, it should be sent to the next chunk altogether, not split into 2 consecutive chunks. Of course, we never split words. At the same time, the code is also trying to take advantage of the full length available for a chunk. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple set of rules, but it does work fairly well. It's a good solution if you cannot use the LangChain Code node and the assistance of an external LM, I would say. Now, as you can see, I've already executed the workflow for a PDF document. The fetch PDF went through the previous nodes, and then it was routed by the switch through the upper section here, and then was reformatted by this node and passed on to the Postgres vector store, which in turn added labels or metadata to each chunk in a recursive manner, and also added embeddings using Google Gemini. I won't go into the details of that later part of the workflow, but this essentially works fine. If we have a quick look at the execution of this last code, we can see we are getting a URL from Mistral containing the entire text as input on the left, and a chunk text as output on the right. And you will notice that in this case Mistral outputted 2 chunks only, so fairly long chunks. Now I will replace the PDF stored in the Google Drive folder with a Google Doc, and I will run the workflow again so that you can see the chunking performed by the code node in action. Okay, I've replaced the document, and we can now run the workflow from the PG Vector Store node, which is the one immediately after this section for extraction and chunking. So there you go. The system should now fetch the document in Google Drive, then rework it up to this point, up to the switch really, until the switch reroutes it through the lower section here of this gray area, and then it will be chunked by this node and passed on to the vector store as a final step. That's it. The code node is now processing the text coming from the Google Doc and is chunking it into different sections. So let's go and have a look at how the chunking is done. Okay, so you have the entire text here on the left hand side under the label data. This is what is coming in from the previous node, just one block of text. And then on the right hand side instead you got the output of the chunking node. You can see that each chunk is close to the maximum size, which in my case was set to 1200 characters. So the first chunk is 1150, the second chunk is 1089, and the third chunk is 1070, and so on and so forth. 5 chunks in total. The beauty of this is that you can adjust the code, you can fine-tune it to fit your needs. You can take advantage of any LM chat model that you like, that you prefer, be that ChatGPT or Claude, to help you out in revising the code. But essentially, it's very flexible in a way because you can adjust it to your specific needs. At the same time, its behavior is deterministic. So if I feed the same input text to this node multiple times, I will get the same exact result as an output, which can be an advantage in some cases if you want a reliable system with repeatable results. So there you have it, my alternative solution to the use of agentic chunking, should that not be working for you either. I will link below a copy of my template in JSON that I've made available on GitHub. You can simply download it and then import it from this menu here with the 3 dots and select import from file, and it will just replicate this template for you. And of course, I will also link the videos, the tutorials I mentioned by Coles and Nates, so that you can look them up easily. That's it. I hope this video can be useful for any of you that might encounter the same issues with the LangChain node and the ExtractPDFtext node in N8N. Keep in mind again that most likely this is especially relevant for any one of you using either N8N or Render on free tier. And by the way, the Mistral API that I'm using here on these 3 nodes, it's also free. So you just need to subscribe to Mistral with a free tier subscription, and then you can access the API at no cost, really. Any questions or ideas on alternative solutions to these issues, please hit me in the comments. Also, this is going to be my first YouTube video. I should have done an introductory one, really, but this is it. I am starting. So, should you have any feedback on it, ways to improve it, anything that's not clear, please do let me know. That would be super useful. Thank you very much, and until next time, thanks for watching.